Ryan's office revenge.
I never thought refusing to sign one piece of paper would cost me 23 years of my career. But there I was, 3 minutes after telling Preston Whitfield he could shove his cost-cutting memo where the sun don't shine, standing in the parking lot with a cardboard box and my walking papers. My name's Garrett Walsh. I'm 49 years old, and one stubborn moment defending worker safety had just turned my whole life upside down, the box cut into my hands. Inside were my safety certifications, photos of my son Tommy's high school graduation from 2 years back, and the pocket multimeter I'd carried since my Navy days. Everything else, my office, my authority, my place in this plant, had been stripped away faster than you could say insubordination. Tommy was finishing up his sophomore year at State, and those tuition payments weren't going to stop just because his old man had principles. Then I heard boots on gravel behind me. Walsh-Pierce, the guy whose $750 million defense contract kept our whole operation running, walked up with that same steady stride he'd had since his own military days. He looked at me, then at the box, and his expression shifted from curious to stone-cold serious. "Garrett," he said, voice calm but with an edge underneath. "Want to tell me why one of the best plant managers in the Midwest is standing in a parking lot with his belongings?" I shifted the box against my hip. "Preston Whitfield just fired me for refusing to approve substandard parts for your contract." Howard's jaw tightened. For 15 seconds, he didn't say anything, just stared at the building behind me like he was calculating something. Then he pulled out his phone and showed me the screen. There was Preston's face from some corporate newsletter, all smiles and expensive suit. "This, the kid who fired you?" he asked. My stomach dropped. Something in his tone told me this was about to get a whole lot bigger than just me losing my job. "Yeah," I said. "That's him." Howard nodded once, slow and deliberate. "Walk with me." The confrontation had started that morning when I was running the final quality check on a batch of transmission components bound for Howard's military vehicle contract. My multimeter readings showed tolerance levels fluctuating outside acceptable parameters. The stress patterns looked familiar, usually what you see right before catastrophic failure in the field. I was running my third verification when Preston Whitfield burst into the testing bay, all red-faced and worked up. The kid had been plant manager for exactly 8 weeks, riding on his father's name and a business degree that didn't teach him the difference between a torque wrench and a tire iron. "Walsh," he snapped, "those components need to ship today. Stop playing with your little gadgets and sign the approval." I set down the multimeter and looked at him straight. "These readings are outside acceptable parameters. Ship these parts, and we're looking at field failures within 6 months. "The readings are close enough," he said, waving a hand like he was swatting flies. "Military contracts have built-in safety margins. They'll never know the difference." That's when I knew we had a problem, real problem. "Preston," I said, keeping my voice level, "I've been running quality control since before you could tie your shoes. These parts don't meet spec. Period." His face went purple. "You think you know better than me? My father built this company. I'm not going to let some Navy washout torpedo our biggest contract over decimal points." The testing bay went dead quiet. Eddie Vasquez, our union shop steward, stopped adjusting his calipers. Carl Rodriguez, who'd been with the company almost as long as me, turned around from the inspection table. Everyone knew this moment mattered. I stepped closer to Preston, close enough that he had to look up at me. "Son," I said quietly, "I've seen what happens when parts fail in the field. Real people die when we cut corners. I won't sign off on anything that puts lives at risk." Preston's voice cracked when he shouted, "You're fired, Walsh." Effective, immediately pack your stuff and get out. The whole shop floor heard it. 23 years with the company, and I was getting the boot from a kid who couldn't read a stress test if his life depended on it. But here's what Preston didn't know. Walsh-Pierce had been standing in the doorway for the last 2 minutes of our little chat, listening to every word. Now Howard and I walked to his truck parked outside the main gate. He leaned against the tailgate and folded his arms, studying me with the kind of look that meant he was putting pieces together. "Garrett," he said finally, "I've been doing business with this plant for 12 years. You know why I keep coming back?" I shook my head. "Because I trust the quality control. Specifically, I trust you." He paused, letting that sink in. "Every component that goes into our vehicles gets field tested in places where failure means body bags come home. I can't afford to work with people who think close enough is good enough." Something shifted in my chest. Not relief exactly, but recognition that maybe this disaster had a silver lining I couldn't see yet. Howard continued, For the past 6 months, I've been getting reports that don't match the field performance I'm seeing, components failing ahead of schedule, quality metrics that look good on paper but don't hold up under real-world stress. Now I know why. He pulled out his phone and started scrolling through what looked like a long list of contacts. "Preston's been cooking the books?" I asked. "Worse," Howard said. "He's been gambling with lives and using my contract to do it." For the next hour, Howard laid out everything he'd been tracking. Parts shipments that didn't match purchase orders, quality reports that had been altered after I'd submitted them, safety protocols that had been quietly modified without authorization. Preston had been running his own operation inside the plant, cutting costs and padding margins while making sure the paper trail looked clean. "I've been documenting all of it," Howard said, waiting for confirmation that it wasn't just incompetence. Today gave me that confirmation. I thought about the multimeter readings, the stress patterns I'd been seeing, the way Preston had been pressuring everyone to speed up production schedules, the overtime pushes that didn't make sense, the new suppliers that nobody had vetted properly. It all made sense now. "What happens next?" I asked. Howard's smile was thin and sharp. "Next, I make a phone call." The phone call Howard made at 4:30 that afternoon changed everything. Within 20 minutes, he'd pulled the entire $750 million contract. Not suspended, not under review. Canceled, effective immediately. My phone started buzzing with messages from the shop floor. Eddie texted first. "Holy hell, Garrett, they just called an emergency meeting. Preston's running around like his hair's on fire." Then Carl, "Word is Pierce pulled out completely. Management's in full panic mode." Within an hour, the story was spreading through Detroit's manufacturing circles like wildfire. The plant that lost a $750 million contract because they fired their quality control manager. Preston tried to do damage control, sending emails claiming I'd sabotaged the relationship, but Howard had already shared his documentation with the board. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd spent 23 years trying to protect this company's reputation, and it took getting fired to realize the reputation wasn't worth protecting anymore. By Wednesday, 3 more contractors had pulled smaller contracts, citing quality control concerns. By Thursday, the local news picked up the story. By Friday, Preston was gone. Not just fired, escorted out by security with his own cardboard box, looking about as dignified as a wet cat. His father, the plant owner, announced his retirement 48 hours later. The board brought in crisis management consultants and started calling it restructuring, but everyone knew what had happened. When you build a company culture around cutting corners, eventually someone notices the corners are missing. Howard met me at Murphy's Pub on Friday evening. The place was crowded with guys from the plant, most of them buying me drinks and telling stories about times Preston had tried to push through dangerous shortcuts. Eddie was holding court at the bar, explaining to anyone who'd listen how Preston had tried to convince him that plus or minus 10% was an acceptable tolerance for load-bearing components. "You know," Howard said, settling into the booth across from me, "I've been thinking about starting my own operation. Something built around the idea that quality and safety aren't negotiable." I took a sip of my beer. The Budweiser tasted better than it had in months. Sounds expensive. "I've got the capital. What I need is someone to run it, someone who understands that doing things right the first time costs less than fixing disasters later." He slid a folder across the table. "Partnership offer. Full operational authority. Your call on every hire, every process, every quality standard." I opened the folder and saw numbers that made my head spin. Not just a salary, equity stake, profit sharing, full benefits package. More than I'd made in 23 years at the old plant. The kind of money that would put Tommy through his last 2 years at State without him having to work weekends at the campus bookstore. "Why me?" I asked. Howard leaned back. "Because today you chose to do the right thing, even when it cost you everything. That's the kind of partner I want." I looked around the bar at the faces I'd worked alongside for over 2 decades. Good people who deserved better than having their livelihoods gambled away by some kid with a business degree and no sense. Eddie was still explaining tolerance levels to a machinist from third shift. Carl was showing someone on his phone the stress test results that Preston had wanted to ignore. "What about them?" I asked, nodding toward my former coworkers. "We're going to need experienced people," Howard said. "People who understand what it means to build something that lasts." That night, I drove home to the house I'd bought when Tommy was still in middle school. The mortgage was manageable but not comfortable, especially with his college expenses and the cost of living creeping up every year. I'd been looking at 16 more years before retirement, hoping the pension would be enough to keep me and maybe help Tommy get started in his own career. Now, I was looking at something completely different, a chance to build something from the ground up with my own standards, my own team, my own rules about what constituted acceptable work. I sat in my kitchen with the partnership agreement spread out on the table, drinking coffee that had gone cold while I read through the terms. Everything looked legitimate. Howard wasn't offering charity, he was offering a business deal between equals. My experience and reputation, his capital and connections. A manufacturing company that put quality first and profits second, trusting that the profits would follow. I called Tommy that weekend. He was working his way through sophomore year at State, pulling shifts at the campus bookstore between classes to help cover expenses. When I told him about the partnership offer, he was quiet for a long time. "Dad," he finally said, "you've been talking about worker safety and doing things right my whole life. Now somebody's offering to pay you to build a company around those values. Why are you even hesitating?" He was right. I'd spent 23 years following orders and making compromises, watching corners get cut and standards get lowered. Now I had a chance to build something from scratch, the right way. "The money's good enough that you won't have to work weekends anymore," I told him. "That's not why you should take it," Tommy said. "Take it because it's what you've always wanted to do." Smart kid gets that from his mother. On Monday morning, I walked into Howard's temporary office in a strip mall across town and signed the partnership agreement. We shook hands on Walsh-Pierce manufacturing, with the understanding that every decision would be filtered through one simple question. Is this something we'd trust with our own families' lives? The first order of business was finding a facility. Howard had his eye on a 40,000 square foot space in an industrial park outside Detroit, complete with overhead cranes and a loading dock that could handle military transport trucks. The previous tenant had been a stamping operation that went under during the last recession, leaving behind equipment we could retrofit for precision manufacturing. Good bones, Howard said, walking through the empty space with an engineer's eye. Clean power, adequate ventilation, room to expand. I was thinking about the shop floor layout, where to put the quality control stations, how to arrange the workflow so every component got checked at multiple points. No shortcuts, no rush jobs, no good enough mentality. Within 2 weeks, we had a lease signed and renovation crews working around the clock. Howard brought in industrial electricians to upgrade the power systems. I brought in safety consultants to make sure every piece of equipment met current OSHA standards. We were going to do this right from day one. The hiring started with Eddie Vasquez. I called him on a Tuesday evening, and by Thursday he'd given notice at the old plant. "They've got 3 people trying to do my job now," he said. "None of them know the difference between a micrometer and a coffee stirrer." Carl Rodriguez came next, along with half the quality control department. Word spread through the local machinist community that we were paying above market rates for experienced people who took pride in their work. We had 30 applications for 15 positions within a month. The first contract we landed was smaller than Howard's original deal, but it was clean. Precision components for a communications equipment manufacturer. Nothing that would put lives at risk, but everything had to meet military specifications for durability and reliability. Perfect training ground for the team. I remember walking through our shop floor on the first day of production. Eddie was setting up his inspection station, checking calibration on equipment that was newer and better maintained than anything we'd had at the old plant. Carl was training 2 new hires on proper stress testing procedures, taking the time to explain why each measurement mattered. "This feels different," Eddie said during lunch break. "Nobody's breathing down our necks to cut corners or speed things up." "That's the point," I said. "We get paid to do it right, not to do it fast." The military communications contract led to 2 more contracts within 6 months. Word gets around in defense manufacturing circles when someone consistently delivers quality work on schedule. Howard's reputation opened doors, but our work kept them open. By the end of our first year, we had 85 employees and a backlog of orders stretching 6 months out. The profit margins weren't as fat as Preston's fantasy numbers, but they were real. More importantly, they were sustainable. Howard and I were standing on the shop floor late one evening, watching the second shift wrap up a production run, when he turned to me with that quiet satisfaction that comes from building something solid. "You know what the best part is?" he said. "What's that?" "I got a call from Preston's uncle yesterday. Kid's working at an insurance office now, filing paperwork. Apparently, no manufacturing company in the region will touch him." I nodded, but it wasn't really about Preston anymore. The satisfaction came from watching our people build components that we knew would perform exactly as specified in whatever conditions they encountered. No failures, no callbacks, no body bags coming home because we cut corners on quality. The real test came 18 months in, when the Pentagon offered us a substantial expansion of our original contract. Military vehicle components for overseas deployment. The kind of work that Howard's old contract had been meant to cover, before Preston's cost-cutting killed the deal. Full circle, Howard said, reviewing the specifications. Better circle, I replied. This time we know what we're getting into. The contract review process was extensive. Pentagon inspectors spent 3 days going through our quality control procedures, testing our equipment, interviewing our workers. They wanted to see our failure analysis protocols, our supplier verification standards, our worker safety records. Eddie walked them through the inspection process, explaining how we tested every component at multiple stages. Carl demonstrated the stress testing equipment, showing how we verified performance beyond minimum specifications. Our safety record spoke for itself. 0 incidents in 18 months of operation. When the Pentagon inspector asked me about our quality philosophy, I gave him the same answer I'd been giving since day one. We build everything like our own family's going to depend on it. That's exactly what we want to hear, he said. The expanded contract was worth $1.2 billion over 5 years, more than Howard's original deal, with better terms and a partnership structure that rewarded consistent quality performance. The signing ceremony for the Pentagon contract took place in our conference room, with officials from Washington and Detroit in attendance. Tommy drove down from state for the occasion, wearing the suit we'd bought him for job interviews that wouldn't happen for another 2 years now that his college expenses were covered. Proud of you, Dad, he said afterward, looking around the facility that had grown from an empty warehouse into something that employed 150 people and counting. Proud of us, I corrected him. This whole thing started because you reminded me what I stood for. The success brought its own challenges. Other manufacturers in the region started poaching our workers with signing bonuses and inflated salary offers. We lost a few good people, but most stayed. Eddie turned down 3 job offers in 1 month, telling me why would I leave the best shop in Michigan to work somewhere that cuts corners. Howard and I had to make decisions about growth that would have seemed impossible 2 years earlier. Open a second facility, expand our current operation, take on civilian contracts alongside the military work. Good problems to have, Howard said during one of our weekly planning meetings. Problems nonetheless, I replied. Growth for growth's sake is how companies lose their way. We settled on controlled expansion, new equipment, not new facilities. More contracts, but only ones that aligned with our quality standards. We turned down 3 lucrative deals that would have required compromising our inspection processes or speeding up production beyond safe limits. The local business journal ran a feature story about Walsh-Pierce manufacturing, calling us the company that quality built. They interviewed Eddie about our inspection procedures and Carl about our training programs. The reporter asked me what made our operation different from other manufacturing companies. We never forgot that our products protect people, I said. Every component we build has someone's life depending on it working exactly as designed. The story mentioned Preston exactly once, in a single sentence about previous management failures at competing facilities. He'd become a footnote in someone else's success story. That seemed about right. 2.5 years after that confrontation in the testing bay, I was walking through our expanded shop floor when I got a call from my old plant. The voice belonged to Maria Santos, who'd been in accounting when I left. Garrett, she said, I wanted you to hear this from someone you know. They're closing down the main production line next month. Couldn't get their quality certifications renewed after the Pentagon blacklisted them. The old plant was selling off equipment to pay creditors. 300 jobs gone because one kid thought he knew better than people with decades of experience. What about the workers? I asked. Most of the experienced guys already found work elsewhere. Word is you and Howard have been hiring. We had. When people with good reputations needed jobs, we found ways to create positions. Our employee handbook included a clause about hiring displaced workers from facilities with safety or quality problems. We called it the second chance policy, but really it was just good business. Experienced people who'd seen corners get cut were the most motivated to maintain high standards. That evening, Howard and I stood in the parking lot where this whole thing had started, looking back at what we'd built. The second shift was just getting started, and through the windows we could see our people working with equipment that was maintained properly, following procedures that made sense, building products they could be proud of. Any regrets? Howard asked. About getting fired? I laughed. Best thing that ever happened to me. No, he said. About the way it happened. The confrontation, the public scene, all of that. I thought about it for a minute. Preston's red face, the humiliation in front of my coworkers, the walk to the parking lot with that cardboard box, the uncertainty, the fear about Tommy's college, the sleepless nights wondering if I'd made the right choice. None, I said finally. Preston did me a favor. He showed me what I was really worth and what I wasn't willing to compromise. The lesson I carried forward from that day had nothing to do with standing up to bad bosses or fighting corporate politics. It was simpler and more practical. When someone asks you to compromise your principles, the only real choice is to find somewhere else to work. Sometimes the best thing that can happen to a man is getting fired by someone who doesn't understand his value. It forces him to discover what he's actually worth in the marketplace and what kind of work he's willing to put his name on. Most importantly, it reminds him that loyalty to a company means nothing if the company doesn't share his values. Real loyalty belongs to the work itself, to the standards that keep people safe, and to the teammates who understand why those standards matter. If you're reading this and you recognize yourself in my situation, if you're working somewhere that asks you to cut corners, ignore safety protocols, or sign off on work that doesn't meet your standards, I want you to understand something important. Your experience has value, your judgment matters, and there are people out there who will pay good money for someone who refuses to compromise on quality. The choice isn't between keeping your job and keeping your principles. The choice is between staying where you are and finding out what you're really worth. Sometimes walking away from the wrong opportunity is the only way to make room for the right one. Don't let anyone convince you that close enough is good enough when people's lives depend on your work. Don't let some kid with an MBA tell you that decades of experience don't matter. And never ever sign your name to something you wouldn't trust with your own family's safety. Your integrity isn't just your most valuable asset, it's your competitive advantage. Use it